there is plenty of data out there that shows that outside feedback can help you make better decisions, and that then leads to business success.
Yeah.
There is a correlation in that. Outside feedback is highly valuable.
Hello.
Jennifer DiMotta.
And I'm Mark Hasebroock. One thing I want to share with everybody is discussion about when you possibly might need a fresh set of eyes from the outside for your business. Um, there was a company that we talked to maybe 2 weeks ago that solid team, solid business, but has experienced a couple rough patches. And I suggested to them, it might make some sense for you to do an autopsy on this. And all it was the marketing
Mm-hmm.
plan. Let's just have somebody that actually does this every single day in, day out for companies in your industry of your size and caliber and so forth. Let's have them just take a look at this because it might be a waste of time, but it might really open something up. And the CEO and founder said, yeah, no, we got it. We know what we're doing. We don't really need anybody to come in. We're just going to keep going. And, it's a plateaued company that is cash flowing. And so here's the founder saying, we're making money. Customers love us. We'll just keep experimenting with some things. And to me, that what came to mind is having an ego around something like this can be really expensive. And if you realize that I have all the answers, you're going to get stuck. I mean, good founders leverage experts whenever and wherever they can. But let me toss it to you. When do you know, or when do you recognize that a founder could benefit from bringing in someone to help them?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you don't always know at the very beginning, but to that founder that you just talked about, I remember Tony Robbins said one time something of the effect that people don't make change until they're really disrupted.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, yeah, if you got a business that's plateaued but still cash flowing, they may not be holistically disrupted.
Yeah.
The thing is by the time you are disrupted, it's almost too late for the change.
Yeah.
And so you could have had those outside eyes, those fresh eyes in there. You're still the CEO, you're still the founder, you're still the decision maker at the end of the day. So why not? Like we just talked about in a previous episode about getting customer feedback. Why not get expert feedback? There's value in both. And I think what we see is founders sometimes don't even know when they're stuck. And so if we can have a good discussion with them on the front end and kind of start to have them pull out the places in which they think they're stuck and then lean into those first. We do a broad set of things for our clients, right? We focus on scale, we focus on simplifying the scale, and we focus on helping them win again. But that means that we have a lot of different places we like to lean into. But when we're talking to a founder up front, sometimes you want to find that real pain point and lean into that and have that discussion first.
Yeah.
Because they're a lot more likely to, if they've never had outside expertise and feedback before, this is a barrier by itself.
Yeah.
And then if you can lean into the pain point and help them solve that pain point, now they're getting it. Now they are like, wow, somebody
Hmm.
who does look at this from an outside perspective might be able to give me some good feedback.
Right.
And again, still at the end of the day, they can make a decision. We are here to give them direction, recommendations, and whatever from our perspective, from our experience, and then they
Yeah.
get to make that decision. So leaning into that key pain point can sometimes be a way to get in.
Well, what I've seen is if they do make that decision, or it becomes this board mandate,
Yeah.
it's not, they haven't bought it. They aren't interested in it. And so then they're looking for someone to validate their already known conclusion.
Yes.
And so they do some research and they're like, let's bring in these guys. Hey guys, by the way, this is what I want you to work on, and this is where I am, and I want you to just make sure that I'm right. And so what do you get at the end of the day?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? It's hard to make those situations work.
Yeah,
Um, you really gotta have the person that we're talking to, the person that we're gonna help, they really gotta have that buy-in.
yeah,
And for those listening out there that are kinda on the fence about this, there is plenty of data out there that shows that outside feedback can help you make better decisions, and that then leads to business success.
yeah,
There is a correlation in that. Outside feedback is highly valuable because us as if we're inside and we're operating as a CEO or operating in whatever capacity as a leadership capacity, sometimes you get blinded by the
yeah,
fact that you're on the inside. And so, value is getting outside feedback that you can then decide how to use to make smarter decisions when you are on inside the four walls, I
yeah,
like to say.
yeah,
The We've had clients that really get it, and that makes things a lot easier in using outside feedback because they actually do utilize it at the end of the day.
yeah,
And then we've had other I've had some other clients and I even come from this. So, a long 25 plus years ago, I remember coming in running a business for a couple of owners and they said, "Hey, listen, you're doing a lot of great things, but we're going to get you an executive coach." And I thought, "What does that mean?"
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I could have been really resistant, but at the end of the day, why? Get that outside feedback. And here's the thing, it ended up being the most meaningful gap up in my leadership style that I could have asked for because somebody was
interesting. Yeah.
sending back to me the messages I wasn't listening to while I was
Mm,
running this business.
mm.
So there's an immense amount of value. I don't know if you've run into that before. Like, when have you run into a situation where you are trying so hard to get the value of outside feedback to them, and yeah, sometimes you actually do get through to them at some point in time, but it takes a
Yeah,
while.
it does. You and I are both big believers in data and things that just show here's the good and here's maybe the not so good and here's sort of the in between. How do we make these last two categories good? And and if there isn't clear answers to that, then it becomes, maybe there's some experts who can spend some time on this, break it apart, and then bring it back together with you. And who wouldn't want that? Because if you get everybody nodding their head like, yeah, actually our gross margin does need to be this, or how come our OpEx as a percentage of revenue is this when it should be this? Okay, we need to identify what on earth happened here and try and position it as not a threat to the people that it's their job, where you look over and say, well, why aren't you fixing this? You just need somebody to look at it in a fresh way with no threat
Yeah.
because everybody gets threatened. Like,
Yeah.
uh-oh, here come the consultants. It's like, no, no, no. It's these are people that are, if you play a sport, do you back to your analogy of the coach? You don't have all the answers. You might be so good, but it's sort of like, I need to maybe be a little bit better. So let me hire this coach to help me get there. Or back to the company I mentioned, they just had a very small boutique group come in and do a little bit of a deep dive on their marketing, past, current, and then, hey, here are some things. Did you know about this and this and this? And look at this tool that we just plugged in. And everyone was just kind of like, wow, I've never heard of these things. This is impressive. Our conversion rate went up, our cost to acquire went down, our retention of our customers is higher. Who doesn't want that? So if
Yeah.
you can show and point it back to measurable things, to maybe answer the question directly, that's key.
That is key. Something that people don't think about every day is, when do I hire an outside expert? And there are a lot of times to hire an outside expert. I think sometimes you think about it in when it's broke, something's broke. But think about it this way, sometimes hiring an outside expert when everything is on a high is actually the best time to hire an
Mm.
expert.
Yeah.
I mean, think about Tom Brady. Okay, you think after maybe 5 Super Bowl rings that he's like, "I'm good. I don't need a
Yep.
coach."
Good point.
No, no big deal. I can do this by myself. Why would you ever do that? That was part of the success. That was
Yep.
part of how he got to the 5 rings. So
That's
of course he's gonna get, what, 2 more
yep.
with he's gonna keep going with a coach because he's smart. It's a tool in his toolbox. And so maybe to think about it as non-competitive and non-consultant. Let's talk expertise and forget the word consulting,
Right.
is to think, do I need this tool in my toolbox? Or do I need a better tool of this kind in my toolbox? And if I can get it on the inside, okay, great. But the reality is you probably need something on the outside as well, because there's deeper knowledge in certain places that don't
Yep.
happen inside the business when it comes to operating a business.
Right.
And that's what we do. We have a depth of knowledge in scaling businesses, in looking at data underneath the income statement. So who would not need that?
Who wouldn't want it, right?
Who wouldn't want it in reality? Don't you want to be the Tom Brady in your category, in your industry? What do you think it takes to be the Tom Brady? Well, one of the tools in the toolbox is it's going to take some coaches and experts in the right places. And that's what the CEO and founder gets to decide. But certainly open the kimono and
Yep.
welcome the opportunity to find those tools.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Right?
And get rid of the ego at the door,
Oh yeah.
because the assessment that we do with companies is it's very broad, but it certainly bubbles up specific issues. The last thing you want to hear is somebody say, "Hey, your sales should be higher and your gross margins should be higher." And you
Yes.
kind of go, "Okay, well, we pretty much know that." And what you and I try and do is the things that we did for all those years. It's all we want in return is to say, give me the specifics here. I know sales can and should be higher, but tell me how to get there. Why are my operating expenses out of control here? Tell me what the gaps are. What are the things I should focus on immediately and 6 months and 12 months down the road? Tell me how I can improve my gross margins. What is it that my competitor is doing that I'm not doing? Let's bubble all those things up and then make decisions and true tactical measurable plans around those things. So it's not this pretty PowerPoint deck. It's something that tomorrow morning you kind of say, hey, here's what we're going to attack.
Yeah. You know, what all that data could lead to is another reason to hire an expert. First of all, it's kind of lonely at the top. We talk about this quite a bit. Who do you have to talk to? The CEO and founder, who are you talking to about the following?
Yeah.
Net new opportunities for your business. So break into a new channel, break into a new category, break into whatever, even hire net new leadership, all of that kind of stuff. You need a partner in crime. And sometimes that partner in crime being on the outside to give you a very objective view of that or give you some direction is about the highest value you're going to get in your
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So,
I,
and you do this quite a bit.
I think I've seen that I guess it doesn't fix bad leaders. It really elevates the strong leaders,
Yes.
right? So it allows them to really excel at what they do best. And it can backfire too if you have the wrong people and you waste time and energy. But I really do think it's something that can be of significant value at the right time. And so we just say keep an open mind. It's always good for those lifelong learners to have something available to them to where they can just say, help me here. I go home and my spouse says, "Hey, how was work today?" And what's your first answer? That's fine. But
Yeah.
inside you're kind of like, God, I don't even I don't even know if I should own this company, much less run it, you know? And so figuring those things out and having a confidant that helps you kind of hug you at some time and also just shove you at others is really, I think, very, very valuable.
And to that point, I mean, accountability is motivates a lot of us, especially at the founder level.
Yeah,
You want to be accountable to
yeah,
someone. And when you're lonely at the top, you're not really accountable to anyone. And so, why not bring somebody in that can give you the expertise you need, the expertise when you want to grow and move into net new things, and the accountability to do the right thing?
yeah, yeah,
So, those are probably the three things we highly recommend about bringing in outside experts.
yeah. I just think it's something to strongly consider as part of your strategy and at the right time with the right ones. And, talk to people who have done it, get referrals, know specifically what it is you're trying to address and fix versus just casting a broad net saying, "Hey, who does consulting?" It's like you want someone who's an operating partner with you.
Yeah. I'll give you one more live example. One of our older clients is, we came in and they didn't really have us. This is pretty common actually. This isn't just them, but they had really no strategy, no vision, no knowledge of like where are they going in 5 years. And so we really helped them get over that hump. Now they have a very clear vision. They have clear strategic pillars. They have clear ownership. We've helped them rewrite and structure their C-level team to where they're going to be more effective.
Right.
And, so we're not here to just give you some thoughts. We get our hands dirty as
Yeah.
well. And that's what you should look for in outside experts. They need to get their hands dirty in
Yeah.
addition to giving you their expertise.
Yeah, it's like you said, we've got weekly tactical plans now and where everyone is accountable, who is doing what.
Mhm.
And if that slips, it has an impact on everybody. And that wasn't in place before. So I think that's something that's really, really valuable.
Yep. Exposure creates accountability, and that's what we've created for them. What's one of
Yep.
the things we've created for them. So, if you got a lot out of this, give us a review, rating, give us some feedback. Feel free to email us. Feel free to go to dundeegp.com and check us out. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you about the what you might be needing in your
Yep.
business.
Yeah,
And
just drop us a line.
yeah,
We're happy to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. We'll see you all soon.